Well, good evening, folks. I trust you well. Oh dear. Yes. Anyway, I'm okay. I hope you're well. Um, this video, a little bit, I want to refer to some previous videos I've done in this particular video because I want to pull a few things together, if you like. So if you haven't seen the previous videos, get watching, because otherwise not all, a bit of it might not make sense. When I was a kid, I was obsessed with aeroplanes, and my father used to take me to a toy shop occasionally in Norwich, in a shopping arcade in Norfolk, and I used to hold his middle finger when I was young, when he was walking out with me in the street in my little shorts on freezing cold days, and walk in, and we used to go into this toy shop inside what they call the Palisades, or the arcade, where they had the toy shop. Wow, it was a big event for me, just being with me and my dad. And one of those things you just don't forget as a child, I suppose. I was very bonded to my father. And went in, and I was looking in the window before we went in, and looking at all these airfix kits of plastic model aeroplane kits that you build. They come with the paint and the paintbrush, of course, and the glue. Yes, that lovely stuff that smelt so lovely and made you as high as a kite. Anyway, I wasn't aware of that at the time, but all I know is they used to sell it, and the glue, actually, it was in a bottle. It was liquid glue, and you paint it on the edges of the plastic and then join the plastic together. It would melt the plastic and dissolve it. It was a very good adhesive, and within 10 minutes or so it's pretty well stuck if you were patient. Anyway, I remember buying this model of a Spitfire. It was, oh yes, it was only about this big when fully made from nose to tail, but it was the big thing for me. And I used to get one of these kits a month, and he'd buy me the paints and the things to make it look like it did on the box. And inside there are instructions. And anybody who's anybody in the boys' world, I suppose, has built a kit of some kind when they were younger in them days. And I proceeded to get home. Top priority, of course, was to clear the kitchen table. Put newspaper on it at the insistence of my mother, because she knew I was messy. And this was my day, this was it. It was raining outside, none of my mates are playing. I was going to build my model. Couldn't wait. And my dad was busy, left alone, reading the paper. Bless him. Anyway, cut a long story short, I got to building this. And on the plans, because they all come with plans and instructions, you take out this, like a square of plastic with all the little things hanging on, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Couldn't go wrong, just couldn't go wrong, really. And I was busy painting all the individual, the pilot's face with my paints, while I left them on the tree, if you like, and the inside of the cockpit. Oh yes, it's all got to be proper. Oh, that was looking great. And you then snap off the sides of 2 halves of the fuselage and the pilot seat, and you put that in, and you pop the little pilot in, and then you join the 2 sides together after painting the edges with the glue, and it sticks. And there I have my fuselage. Anyway, it took me no more than an hour to put it together. Seriously, I've always been that quick, apparently. If you don't believe me, ask my wife. And I ended up with an aeroplane which I then proceeded to paint, which took another 10 minutes. It looked vaguely like a Spitfire. You can never quite get it the same as it does show it on the box lid, can you, really? Well, I couldn't. I know people who do, and they take weeks making their models. Me, 2 hours tops. You know, the paint wasn't even dry before I wanted to put the transfers on. I was that impetuous. And one of my big problems, what I'm trying to say to you in life, is that not only have I been premature in many things I've done, I have been so impatient. If I was going to do a self-critique, and what is my biggest criticism of me is that I'm bloody impatient. And come on. Yeah. Get to the point. Even now in conversations, let's just get to the point. No. I've got to tell you the background first. Oh, do you have to? Yada. What? I want to know where we go from here and what are the implications and what is it you want. What do you want out of me? Come on, because everybody wants something out of somebody. You come to me, do you want advice? I'm not in a position to give it many times. Do you want money? No. I'm really, really impatient. Even at a young age. Now, usually it's the old farts that become impatient. Not me. I was impatient from day one. I couldn't wait to be born for a start. And no, I was normal birth. I arrived on time, apparently. Excuse me. And out I popped. I was impatient for my feeds. And my life is like this. I'm terribly, terribly impatient. Even when I go fishing. If I haven't caught anything within 10 minutes, it's been a crap day. Not that I'm arrogant and they should be fishing, they should be biting just for me. But I thought, well, I've got a crap spot. I'll start blaming things because I'm looking for reasons why things aren't happening as I want them to happen or plan them to happen. They should be happening. And this is me all over. And it is a huge character flaw that I have. Yes, I do have them. And I'm bloody impatient. I don't try, in fact, I don't at all wish or attempt to waste other people's time. Because time is one of those things you just simply cannot replace. And it's currency, folks. That's what it is. That's why we get paid for our time with money. Time is money in many ways. But the problem with being impatient, of course, is that you don't take time out to weigh up and plan the future events or try to figure out or forecast what indeed is going to happen. Because I'm just impatient. Do I plan things? No, I'm very much path of least resistance many times. I'll do the bare minimum to get by many times. I'm a 99% doer and then I get bored with the 1% I won't bother. And it's 99% perfect. Because I'm so impatient, I just haven't, I think, it's like reading a book and leaving a couple of pages unread at the end. I know the bulk of the story, get to the point. Well, the point's in the last 2 pages. That's the point. You can talk about the other 300 pages, but the whole point about the book is the last 3. So why not skip to the back of the book and read the last chapter? Because you don't know the facts. You don't grasp what the author's trying to do. Because the author, equally, has an agenda. Because the author knows the complete picture from start to finish. You, when you start reading and you're introduced to the book, you're a newbie. You're really naive about the whole situation, aren't you? And you think, wow. And you read on. And the idea is reading one page is to get you to read the next one. Keep them hanging. Turn that page. And this is the element for all good movies, isn't it? Keep them on the edge of the seat. They never know what's going to happen next. But the people who shot the film do. The actors know precisely what the agenda is. Some actors just know their little part and they're told to sod off. And they get fresh actors in to do the next bit. And fresh, depends on what the film is or what the agenda is and who's running the show. And this brings me on to what is happening in the world today. But I do. I'll just turn my phone off. I do recognise that I have my own character flaws, and I'm impatient. Okay, and sometimes it is a huge disadvantage, because impatience, when you're that busy, you're conscious of being impatient. The fact is, I know in many ways, even at school, I could have done better. I didn't need the teacher to put it in my letter school report. Could do better. Just try hard enough. I did just enough to get by. Why didn't you get an A? Why have you ended up with a C or a B? Why didn't, if you're capable of getting an A, get an A. It's not worth the extra effort. A horse only wins a race by a nose. This is my thoughts. Why bother busting a gut trying to win it by a neck and a half a body? Wasted effort, isn't it, really? Because you either win the race or you don't. There's no prizes for second and third, but I'll win just by a little nose. And therefore I don't have to expend all this energy, time and effort to win by a whole length or a furlong. So you can keep your A plus up your ass. I'll get by with a C. I'll still win the race. I'll still get to where I want to go. This is me, Mr. Low Ambition in life. Because I, even at a young age, thought, what's the point? We live, we get born, we live, we die. And then we die with all our knowledge that we've accumulated. So it doesn't matter whether he's got a lot of knowledge or I've got not so much. It's the end result. Like chemistry, if you mix salt and water, you get brine. That is the end result. It doesn't matter, does it? How much you measure, it's salt water. I'm not going to sit and analyse it. We all live, we all die. It's simples. But then, you see, we have this thing about a plan and an agenda and building our lives like we build model aeroplane kits, I suppose. We've got all the bits on the tree. We've got all we need, providing we have got all our bits and marbles. We have normal physique, I suppose. I was always a skinny runt. You know, it's the way I roll. Well, I don't exactly roll. I'm not that fat. But I've got through. I'm a survivor. I beat 600 other million sperm to become here talking to you. That's quite an achievement in life. So I am a big achiever like you. Don't ever think you're not a high achiever, folks. You truly are in the grand scale of the universe. But folks, there are people out there, you see, who plan, and there are such evil people, a group of people that exist, who are not human. They are absolutely not human. They follow a Lucifer agenda, Luciferian agenda. We're devil worship. No. These are not, in that sense, devil worshippers. They are far more. They are certainly beyond anything that you can possibly believe as evil. They are far beyond that depth. They are deeper than that. They don't just dislike things, these people. They don't just dislike other human beings. They hate them with a passion you cannot imagine. And these people don't build model aeroplane kits in 5 minutes. They want total control of this world. And you are going to get it for them. That's all. You. They're not going to lift a finger. They don't have to lift a finger, these people. And there's only a handful of them. Okay, these are the 1%ers, the handful of families. Let's say, for the sake of argument, nobody truly knows, let's say 10 families. Doesn't matter if it's 20, it's still minuscule. But 20 families then have more money between them than the rest of the world put together. But these families, folks, are way above super intelligent. They have access to information you could only dream of, or probably wouldn't be able to comprehend. They have access to information from other sources we are so naive about, and they are being guided, because everybody's being guided, and the 1%ers are being guided. Make no mistake about it. And the 1%ers guide the politicians, and the politicians guide the wealthy businesses, and the businesses employ plebs like us. And we're the worker bees. That's what we are. And it's plebs like us that are going to give the 1%ers the world they seek. We are the worker bees. And we are a disposable, literally, commodity. Accept it. As R2-D2 and C3PO said during their little conversation across the desert. Oh, this is our lot in life. To serve. Yes, that's what we are. We are servants for the 1% agenda, whether we know it or not. But what is this agenda? Well, this is where the impatience comes from for me. It's a handicap. We're not told what the agenda is in our general education. We perhaps stumble across a little bit and either dismiss it as conspiracy theory, because, oh God, you're not one of them, are you? But then very, very often enlightened people think, well, I won't just dismiss it. I'll look into it. And when I say I'm going to look into something, I generally will just check it out. But folks, there are no conspiracy theories. But there are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of conspiracies. And yet people who believe in such things, believe such things exist, are vilified. People like you and I, maybe. Oh, it's one of them, as though it's a disability. I'm mentally retarded because I believe in conspiracy theories. No, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a conspiracy investigator, conspiracy detective, because this is what I find fascinating. But I equally find it fascinating and concerning that a majority of my compatriots and others that I talk to don't seem to give a shit. That just provides evidence of more lambs to the slaughter. It's going to be so easy for these 1% bastards to get the world they seek. It'll be like taking candy off a baby, and that's what it's proving to be. I want to tell you something. I have to refer to my laptop about some particular person in a moment. But who'd have thought, even in the Victorian times, that Britain would be in the situation it is in now, with multiculturalism. There's nothing wrong with multiculturalism. I hear it all the time. But in Victorian times, to see a black man in the United Kingdom was, people used to walk miles to see a Negro. I ain't a racist. That was a deal. My grandfather walked from Stoke-on-Trent all the way up to Cheshire, walked to see if it were true that there was a black man who worked in Cheshire. And he did see him. No buses, walked. A there and back trip of around about 60 miles. Just to prove a point and to see, because he couldn't believe it. He did. But now, I have to walk 500 yards to probably see a few. I don't mean just the Negroes, but our ethnic brethren. Many of which now appear to be of a different religious faith, and they follow Islam. So, there we are. How times have changed. What is this thing we call a mosque? Who'd have thought that in this time, in this century, in this year, we would have the number of mosques that we have in this country? Growing exponentially. With a local population of Muslims in this country growing exponentially because of the breeding regime they have and the agenda they have to outbreed. Even the Ayatollah said, "We don't need weapons to destroy a country, we have the womb." Oh, how true. Well, he was right. And it is a statistical certainty that the Islamic hand will be the whip hand over the whites and the population of this United Kingdom within 100 years. Oh, 100 years, don't care about that then. You selfish shite. You should care about your children and your grandchildren, but hey-ho, look after me, I'm all right, Jack, as they say. And that's what we're surrounded by. I'm all right, Jacks. Don't bother me. I'll be dead in 20 years. What about your children, you selfish shite? Oh, it's their war to fight, innit? Well, where would you be if everybody had the attitude of like that in the First and Second World Wars? You might not have been born. But the one thing you have to realise is, as impatient as I am, it's a foregone conclusion that Britain will fall into the hands of our Islamic invaders. That is a foregone conclusion, because I can't see anything happening to stop it. Apart from a civil war. Maybe. And it'll happen to Germany. It'll happen all over Europe. It will happen in Western society. Because that's the agenda. It has been planned that way by the 1%ers. And you talk about patience. Okay. The 1%ers, folks, they have access to medicine and technology, and they can live for a very long time. Why would somebody plan some destruction that's going to take 300 years to such precision, like clockwork? And it's working. Like clockwork. For a minimum of 300 years ago, they've started this. And it's bang, 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 bang. As it is written, so it has happened. And it continues. You see, what's the point of me starting a project that I know will take me too long to achieve before I die? I'll probably be dead before I finish it. So what's the point? Well, How long did it take to build Hadrian's Wall? How long did it take to build most massive structures? Sometimes it takes a man's lifetime, and even then it's not complete, because they pass it on from one generation to another to complete, don't they? Well, when you know that you've got a long life ahead of you, and your offspring have the same agenda in mind and will carry on the mantle, like passing on the Olympic flame to your son, who's going to pass it on to his son, and they're going to pass it on to their son, you know, providing they stick to the instruction manual, the agenda, the long-term goal, that ultimately your plan will take fruition. You would do it. So, with that in mind, remember this. Nothing, and I mean nothing, happens on the political front, on the world stage, by accident. Nothing. Thousands and thousands upon thousands of Muslims and foreigners, other foreigners, do not cross borders of countries unencumbered without somebody behind the decision has wanted that to happen. Somebody behind that decision has an agenda. And with the agenda and the action comes the consequence. And they also, the arrangers, the initiators of such actions, they know precisely what the outcome is going to be. They know it from lock, stock to barrel about what's going to happen, and they know the end result because it is the end result they want. And the best way to get the end result they want is to plan from the start to the end result, stage by stage by stage, reaction and contingency plans. If that happens, it goes bad, we've got plan B. They've always got a plan B and a C. But most of the time, plan A works. And worst event, probably plan B will have to be brought into action. And there are people out there who simply don't get it. Why have they opened the borders of Germany? Look what's happened. Look what's happened in Paris. Look what's happening to Britain. Look what's happened to Sweden. Look what the Danish people are fighting about right now in Copenhagen. It's all by design. Danish people don't want to have these people coming into their country any more than the Swedes or the Germans or the French or the others. But somebody, some unelected bunch of bastards, the 1%ers, have said, this is going to happen. And they've told the politicians, and they dictate and control the puppets, do the 1% puppet masters, the politicians. How are we going to sell this to the public? Well, it's not my job. You get paid well enough, work it out. But if you don't do it, we'll replace you. Well, I'll get it done. Osborne, Cameron, etc. Tony Blair. You name it. Right. Forgive me for telling you what you may already know. A mystery 200-year-old letter revealed World War III, and it's coming, and its plans, and the final battle against Islam. A letter written more than 200 years ago by a top military chief is claimed to have predicted 3 world wars. Okay, the mystery. Albert Pike, yes, the man of Freemasonry. Pictured on the right, if you can see it. It's not a terribly good picture on the video. I'll see if I can find the link for you. Albert Pike, who was a captain in the US Army during the American Civil War, is alleged to have penned a doctrine to an Italian politician outlining plans for 3 global conflicts to bring one world governance. It plots how and why the First and Second World Wars raged in the early 1900s and provides a chilling prophecy over a third and final battle which is on our doorstep. The letter features heavily in the book Satan, Prince of This World, by former naval officer William Guy Carr with 2 R's. It was reportedly sent by Pike, a Freemason, to Italian politician Giuseppe Mazzini, and was dated August 15th, 1871. What was this guy doing? Channeling? He was a captain, was Albert Pike, in the American Civil War. The letter, it is claimed, suggested World War I was planned to overthrow the Tsars in Russia and make Russia a communist stronghold, while it seemed to have achieved its objectives. World War II was sparked as a catalyst to destroy Nazism, so communism could take over whenever take over weary governments, and for a sovereign state of Israel to be set upon Palestine. Well, isn't that the end result? Concentration camps. The Jews must have a homeland of their own, the wandering Jews. They weren't wandering and they weren't Jews, many of them. Oh yeah, if it wasn't for the Second World War, there would be no Balfour Declaration. And no Balfour Declaration, there'd be no State of Israel. Hello? But they had to persecute the Jews big time and make a big thing about it. So everybody felt sorry for the Jews because they haven't got a homeland. Give them a homeland. Steal a bit of land off the Palestinians and bung the problem there. And aren't they a problem? Pike is alleged to have written, according to Carr's book, the Third Global War, according to Pike, will be fought between the West and the leaders of the Islamic war. Pike is alleged to have written, according to Carr's book, the First World War must be brought about in order to permit the Illuminati to overthrow the power of the Tsars in Russia and making that country a fortress of atheistic communism, which it is. The divergences caused by the agent provocateur of the Illuminati between the British and German empires will be used to foment the war. At the end of the war, communisms will be built and used in order to destroy the other governments and in order to weaken the religions. Again, the church figures are falling in our country, don't know about yours. The churches are going broke, all except the Vatican, of course. The Second World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences between the fascists and the political Zionists. This war must be brought about so that Nazism is destroyed and the political Zionists be strong enough to institute a sovereign state of Israel. During the Second World War, international communism must be strong enough in order to balance Christendom, which would then be restrained and held back and in check until the time when we would need it for the final social cataclysm. Well, there we are. This is the point of the video. The Third World War. Now we go on now, don't we? We're getting agitated. There's too many mosques, too many Muslims, too much violence. Who do they think they are coming in to take? It is an invasion. Make no bones about it. It's a guaranteed planned invasion. The irritation for me is that my fellow country folk don't think it's an invasion. They think it's nice. It's multiculturalism. No, it's not. It's an invasion. And the Muslims, no, it's an invasion. The imams, no, it's an invasion. And they're loving it. And they know we're getting pissed off. But British people are very nice when we're nice. But we ain't that nice when we're angry. The Third World War must be fomented by taking advantages of the differences caused by the agents of the Illuminati between the political Zionists and the leaders of the Islamic world. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam and political Zionists, the State of Israel, and political Zionism, the State of Israel, mutually destroy one another. Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on the issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual and economical exhaustion. We shall unleash the nihilists and the atheists, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm with all its horror, will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism, origin of savagery and the most bloody turmoil. Then everywhere the citizens, you and I, will obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries, will exterminate those destroyers of civilizations, and the multitude, disillusioned with Christianity, church never helped us, well, where was God when he needed him, whose deistic spirits will from that moment on be without compass or direction, anxious for an ideal. We're looking for another hero to hitch our wagon to, but without knowing where to render its adoration. Will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer. After the Third World War, Lucifer's going to make his big entrance, and we will love him for it, because he at least will give us direction. This manifestation will result from the general reactionary movement which will follow the destruction of Christianity. It was originally claimed that the text on show at the British Museum Library was mysteriously removed in 1970, never to be seen again. Both the British Museum and the library confirmed the Daily Star online that there is no record of the letter ever being in the establishment's possession. Somebody let the cat out the bag by the 1%ers, and stuck it in the British Museum for all to read. You see, one of the rules about the 1%ers, folks, is this. If they're going to kill you, and they'll tell you how they're going to kill you, and they'll tell you why, and precisely the time that's going to take, and when it's going to happen. Because that's the rule of any Luciferian doctrine. They told us it was going to happen. It was our stupid fault we didn't see it coming. And that happens time and time and time again in our society. Well, the writing was on the wall. Where do you think the statement came from? You know, if it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, swims like a duck, walks like a duck, it's got feathers, it's got a duck beak, and suddenly it eats bread, well, I told you, it was a duck. It's obvious. It's been walking around for ages. Well, what's our duck that we have to take note of and wake up and smell the coffee? We've got the Georgia Guidestones. The evidence is there. They're already starting the eugenics program. They're going to wipe this world out down to 500 million people. That's 1 in 4 people will survive. 3 out of 4 will die. Do you know 3 other people? Albert Pike has not been wrong. And I know, and you know, and he knew, and he forecast. This guy. Don't you think Albert Pike had access to the 1%ers? This guy started the Freemasonic movement. And we're what are we waiting for? Again, me being impatient. You see, look, it's like going to the doctor saying, Doctor, what's the problem? Oh, doctor, every time I put my finger in an eye, it hurts and it makes me cry. And he said, well, stop putting your finger in. Stop poking yourself in the eye. Or cut your fingers off. And then you won't have the pain. Psychiatrists are funny things as a point to make. when a woman goes to a psychiatrist and he's only charging $5. And this American rich bitch goes in, neurotic, sits down in front of him and says, what's the problem? He says, well, first of all, she says, why are you so cheap? He says, because I work, I'm effective. Well, you'd think you're pricey, but I don't need a lot of your time. I can cure you in 5 minutes. Cure me in 5 minutes? I've had my problem for years. Well, I'll cure you in 5 minutes. Really? Yeah, that's why I'm so cheap. I'll only keep you 5 minutes and you'll only keep me 5 minutes. So let's get on with it. What's your problem? Oh, she says, well, I just can't stop worrying. I think every time I open a drawer, things are going to jump out. I think I go open a cupboard and it's all going to fall on me. I open a door and I don't know what's going to be behind the door, and I'm worrying all the time. And just as she's finishing her first sentence, he screamed at her and he said, then stop it! Stop it! And she flies back in her chair, crying, stop it now. She shouts at me, stop it. And she eventually dries her tears. And she says, well, can you help me? He says, stop it. That's all. Goodbye. That's $20. That's the point. We know what we need to do. We don't need to wait for the sword of Damocles to drop on our head, because we can already spot the guillotine on the way down, or the knife, or the sword. We know, but we do nothing to stop it. It's a fait accompli. I don't know what's on X Factor tonight. Oh, let the immigrants in, another 500 won't make much difference. No, it'll be quicker slaughter for you. It'll be another 300 mosques, and those 500 immigrants will all have 4 children each. And those 4 will have another 4 children each. Tick-tock, tick-tock. And you call yourself a good, responsible parent, looking after the interests of your children? You wouldn't let your children cross the road in busy traffic, would you? Or traffic that's going to kill it when it hits it. That's a really busy road. It's not like a village and you can really take a gamble. The chances are your kid steps out on the road. It's a very high chance they're going to get run over in this city. Look at the flow of traffic. Well, look at the flow of traffic through our immigration system. And now you wonder how it is that the white Caucasians of our country and black Negroes of our country, the non-Muslims, will be off the face of this earth, and there will be one monumental battle. The churches will collapse. The royal family is history, folks. Forget it. It was never in the equation. Forget it. It's a figurehead. They will be out of here so fast in the latter part of this century. You just wait. They're dissolving like bloody butter in the sun. They're melting. It's all a scam. They're all bloody Germans. They'll piss off back to Germany anyway. But this is what we're headed for. Why don't we wake up and smile? What are we waiting for? To be proven right or proven wrong? Well, you and I, conspiracy detectives, will be proven right. But whether we're right or wrong, we'll be dead. But the one thing is, it's like the train just continues moving on. Because we are so sheeple-like. We aren't people, we're sheeple. So why bother flapping your gums? I can understand that attitude. It's going to happen with or without me. Well, that's just bloody marvellous then, isn't it? What would you have done if Wilbur Wright and his brother would have said, the bicycle guys who started flying in Kittiwake? Well, it will fly. Yeah, it will. Honestly, Wilbur, it will. I agree with you. It will fly. It's a nice engine, nice design. I'm sure it'll fly. But I ain't into flying. Let's go play cricket. Yeah, okay, mate. Where would we be if everybody had that attitude? Everybody had the attitude is, yeah, it will, but it's not for me. Let other people do it. The chances are other people won't do it. But look who's benefited from that little initial flight of Kittiwake. The Wright brothers. We don't have flight today. We would have got it eventually. Is that what you're saying? Highly likely. Well, there we are, folks. It's like everything else. The Luciferians out there, the 1%ers, have told us already in several ways. How much more do we need to be told? That they look to slaughter us and impose a Luciferian doctrine on the world, because this world belongs to Satan. Do you remember when Satan and God, Jesus if you like, met up in the mountains to have a discussion? And there was Satan, or Lucifer himself, and God, or Jesus, God's representative here on earth, having a conversation. And Lucifer said, worship my feet, on your feet, kiss my feet. So many words. He said this to Jesus, or God. And you can have all this pointing at the world. And do you know what the Creator said? No. Well, you have to analyse what it was that Satan actually said. He offered God a deal. Kiss his feet and he'll give him the world. And God said no. But analyse this. Satan, Lucifer, whatever, it must have been accepted by God that Satan already possessed the earth. Otherwise he wouldn't have had the earth to make demands with, to get God to kiss his feet and worship him. And yet God will not bow at the feet and worship Lucifer, will he? But Satan has the world to give, and that is acknowledged that he seems to have it now. Doesn't that seem the case? God never said you don't own the world, you sneak. He just said, I'm not going to kiss your feet. Because Satan took the world of the Creator several generations back. And he's still got it. And he's just proving a point once again for the next reckoning. What do you think? Value your opinions as ever. And I'll try and find the link for you underneath this video. Or in fact, what you can do is this. Type in the Albert Pike letters on Google and look it up for yourself. Toodle pip, love you all, take care.